Ladies and gentlemen, dear seekers of truth, thank you for being here today. We gather to explore a paradox, a shadow that lingers behind one of the most celebrated virtues of humanity, goodness. We often think of goodness as pure light, a beacon of hope, a moral compass guiding us through the chaos of life. But today, I invite you to look deeper, to peer into the corners where goodness casts a shadow, to confront the dark side of goodness, the allure of goodness. Goodness is magnetic. It draws us in, like moths to a flame. We admire the selfless hero, the compassionate friend, the leader who sacrifices for the greater good. Goodness feels like the answer to a world fractured by greed, hatred, and division. And yet, have you ever paused to ask, what happens when goodness becomes a mask? When it becomes a cage? When it blinds us to the very truths we seek? Goodness, at its core, is the desire to do right, to alleviate suffering, to create harmony. But in our pursuit of being good, we sometimes stumble into traps we never see coming. We assume goodness is always noble, always pure. But what if goodness can lead us astray? What if it can weigh us down, or worse, harm the very people we aim to help? Let me share a story. A young woman named Clara dedicated her life to helping others. She volunteered at shelters, donated her savings to charities, and never said no to a friend in need. Everyone called her a saint. But Clara, she was drowning. Her relentless giving left her exhausted, her boundaries eroded, her own dreams buried under the weight of others' expectations. Clara's goodness became her prison. And in her quiet moments, she wondered, is this what goodness is supposed to feel like? Clara's story is not unique. It's a reminder that goodness, unchecked, can have a shadow side. A side that demands we sacrifice too much, that blinds us to our own needs, that can even enable harm under the guise of virtue. Let's talk about the weight of being good. Society loves to place halos on those who give selflessly, but those halos can feel like shackles. When you're seen as the good one, the reliable friend, the devoted parent, the tireless advocate, you're expected to keep giving, keep smiling, keep being perfect. But perfection is a myth, and the pressure to uphold it, it can crush you. Have you ever felt it? That quiet voice whispering, you're not allowed to falter. You're not allowed to say no. You're not allowed to be human. The dark side of goodness is that it can trap us in roles we didn't choose. It can make us feel guilty for wanting rest, for wanting boundaries, for wanting ourselves. And here's the harder truth. This burden doesn't just harm us. It can harm those we love. When we give beyond our capacity, we risk resentment. When we say yes to everyone, we may say no to what truly matters. When we strive to be flawless, we may push others away because they feel they can't measure up to our impossible standards. So I ask you, what if goodness isn't about being perfect? What if it's about being honest? About being real? About recognizing that even the best intentions can lead us into darkness if we're not careful? Now let's venture deeper, into the territory where goodness can become dangerous. Yes, dangerous, because goodness, when it's blind, can enable harm. It can perpetuate injustice. It can silence truth. Think about the person who stays silent to keep the peace. The one who forgives too quickly to avoid conflict. The one who gives endlessly to someone who takes and takes, never growing, never changing. This is the dark side of goodness, when it becomes complicity. When it prioritizes comfort over courage. When it chooses harmony over justice. History is full of examples. People who, with good intentions, supported systems that caused harm because they didn't question deeply enough. Communities that stayed silent in the face of wrongdoing because they wanted to believe in the goodness of their leaders. Individuals who enabled toxic behavior because they thought their kindness would fix someone. I'll tell you another story. A man named David worked for a company he believed in. His boss was charismatic, inspiring, and seemed to care deeply about the team. But over time, David noticed things. Corners being cut, promises broken, employees quietly suffering. David wanted to believe in his boss's goodness. He stayed loyal, kept quiet, told himself he was being a team player. But one day, the truth came crashing down. The company collapsed under the weight of its leader's deceit. And David realized, his silence, his goodness, had enabled the harm. This is the challenge of goodness. It asks us to be discerning, to question, to hold a mirror to our intentions and ask, am I truly helping or am I avoiding the harder path? Goodness without wisdom can lead us into shadows. But goodness tempered with courage, that's where transformation begins. Let's pause for a moment and talk about sacrifice. Goodness often demands it. We give our time, our energy, our resources because we believe it's the right thing to do. And sometimes it is. But there's a line between sacrifice and self-destruction. And the dark side of goodness is that it can blur that line. When we give too much, we risk losing ourselves. We risk burning out, breaking down, becoming shells of who we could be. And here's the paradox. When we lose ourselves, we have less to give. Our light dims. Our impact fades. The very goodness we sought to embody, it slips through our fingers. I want to speak to those of you who feel this weight. Those of you who've given until it hurts. Those of you who've wondered, when is it my turn? You are not selfish for asking that question. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not failing because you have limits. You are human. And your humanity is what makes your goodness powerful. Imagine a world where we honored our own needs as much as we honored others. Where we saw self-care not as indulgence, but as an act of responsibility. Where we understood that saying no can be as compassionate as saying yes. This is the goodness we need. A goodness that sustains, that endures, that lifts everyone up without tearing anyone down. So, how do we move forward? How do we embrace goodness without falling into its traps? The answer lies in courage, in balance, in embracing the shadow itself. First, we must be honest with ourselves. Ask the hard questions. Why am I doing this? Am I seeking approval? Am I avoiding conflict? Am I giving from love or from fear? Honesty is the light that illuminates the dark side of goodness. It helps us see where we've strayed, where we've lost ourselves. Second, we must set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're bridges. They allow us to give generously while protecting what makes us whole. They teach others to respect us, to value us, to meet us halfway. Boundaries are an act of love, for ourselves and for those we serve. Third, we must cultivate wisdom. Goodness without discernment is like a ship without a compass. Read, listen, learn, question. Surround yourself with people who challenge your assumptions, who push you to grow. Wisdom helps us see when our goodness is serving the greater good, and when it's enabling harm. And finally, we must forgive ourselves. The dark side of goodness is part of being human. We will stumble. We will give too much or too little or to the wrong cause. And that's okay. What matters is that we learn, we grow, we keep moving toward a goodness that is authentic, sustainable, and brave. As we near the end of this journey, I want to leave you with a vision. A vision of goodness that doesn't hide from its shadows, but embraces them. A goodness that is fierce, flawed, and profoundly human. This is the goodness that changes the world. Imagine a leader who admits their mistakes and grows stronger for it. Imagine a friend who says no when they need to and loves you all the more fiercely because of it. Imagine a community that questions, that challenges, that holds itself accountable, and builds something beautiful in the process. This is the goodness we're capable of. Not a goodness that seeks perfection, but one that seeks truth. Not a goodness that exhausts us, but one that empowers us. Not a goodness that blinds us, but one that helps us see. So, my friends, I challenge you today. Look at your own goodness. Celebrate it because it is a gift. But also question it. Where is it leading you? Is it lifting you up or weighing you down? Is it serving the world or holding it back? Take one step today. Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's speaking a truth you've been afraid to voice. Whatever it is, let it be an act of courage, an act of love, an act of authentic goodness. The dark side of goodness is not something to fear. It's something to understand, to learn from, to transform. Because when we face the shadows, we find the light. And that light, it's not just in you. It's in all of us. Together we can create a world where goodness doesn't just shine, it soars. Thank you for listening. Thank you for daring to look deeper. And thank you for choosing to be part of this journey. Let's go forth not as perfect beings but as brave ones. Let's embrace the dark side of goodness and let it lead us to a brighter world.